Alright guys, so today we're making some oxtail, and this is beef oxtail. I got it from a Spanish store, so we're working with it. So I already cleaned and washed it. Like these are some stuff that I took off. I gave it a wash already. So next up, I'm gonna add some seasoning. I'm also gonna add some herbs, some dried seasoning such as some I'm also gonna add these seasonings and the good browning, just a little bit of the salt, a little bit, because the seasons have salt in it already. I like to add this to whatever I'm making. This is the Big Action Spice Rub from Dinosaur Barbecue. That's a local business up here in upstate. I'm gonna add just a little bit of paprika. I'm also gonna add some garlic, some onion, scallion. I'm not sure if I got time right now, so garlic, onion, scallion, and let's see what else we can add. And we're just gonna give it like a first cook, like let it boil. I'm not gonna pressure it, so it's gonna take some time. Yeah. All right guys, so you missed the seasoning process, sorry about that, but I just added some onion, some ginger, some garlic, and some powdered seasoning. It's not a lot of oxtail guys, so I didn't go too crazy with the seasoning. I'm gonna do another seasoning later in the process when the meat is much softer, but just stand by to see guys. Now we're gonna put it inside the pot. Yes guys, so we're gonna put it in the pot. So I normally let it fry up a bit, just for a little while. I don't just, dunk water and let it boil. I don't really like it like that. So I normally just take my little time, let it fry up a little bit, get some color. And then from there, I'll just let it spring its own water and let it cook for a little while. Then I'll add water as I go along so it can be even softer. Yes guys, so it's in the process, so I haven't added any water to it. It's just doing its own thing right now, springing some water while it's being cooked. So this is my method of doing the oxtail, so I'm gonna let it cook for a good amount of time, no pressure cooker, and I'm gonna later on add some beans when it softens. I might add some spinners, and spinners is basically some very tiny dumpling or dough that we need as Jamaicans, and we pretty much add it to like sometimes soup, sometimes curry dish, and even oxtail brown stew dish as well. That some people, when they're making their oxtail, like later on in the process, sometimes they add coconut juice as well. Yeah, but I'm not sure if you have ever tried that before. But guys, I wish you could smell the aroma that's picking up or lifting up out of this pot. Smells really good guys. And over here I have some bush, as Jamaicans would say. I'm just boiling some lemongrass, some guava leaf, and some other bush that my mom sent. I like to have a sip, while I'm cooking or while I'm chilling in the house, like to drink some tea basically. That's what we call it. Once it is hot, we call it tea in Jamaica. It doesn't matter. Yeah man, once it's hot beverage, tea, strictly. So the oxtail is doing its thing now guys. So that's pretty much it for now. So we'll come back later on to see how it's going, Alright guys, so I added some water So I normally use warm water, right? So it doesn't take a long time to, like, boil again. So I added some warm water to my oxtail, and it's gonna bubble. It's like a bubble in a trouble for a little while. So it's gonna cook for a little while, guys, and when most of this water evaporates, then I'm gonna just do a simple testing with a fork on the meat to see how soft it is. Like, this is the real old school style, guys. There's no pressure cooker involved in this. This is the rigorous process, yeah, which I like. I don't really like to use the pressure cooker, guys. Anyways, let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Yes, guys. Yes, it's a bubbling a trouble, guys. It's bubbling, it's bubbling, it's bubbling, Yeah, man, make it bubble so it can cook the meat, so the meat can fall off of the bone. Yeah, man. So it's a good look, guys. It's a good look, slowly but surely. We're not rushing the process, guys. We're steadily floating. We're cruising in the process, guys. We're lauding the process, guys, because at the end of the process, oh my, at the end of the process, I tell you, it's gonna be some lovely food for dinner. Hey guys, I'm so sorry, but I was watching the World Cup qualifiers, so you guys have missed quite a bit. So after some time, a very long time, and that's the disadvantage of not using the pressure cooker, well, the meat got soft, and what I did, I added my beans, and I also made some spinners, guys. So I made some spinners, and I use wheat flour to make my spinners. I didn't use the regular white flour that most persons would normally use. I used the wheat flour, guys. So everything's looking good. I added my beans. I actually added some onion, because I like to see my seasonings, to be honest. Most persons don't. They just let it boil from the beginning. And I added some tiny bits of sweet pepper. Those are boiled out. Those are completely gone. So I added those as well. And now we're pretty much at the end of our process, guys. So this is the finished product, guys, and I'm telling you, it smells really good, and I can bet I guarantee you that it tastes really good as well, guys. So this is how it's looking. This is how it's looking, guys. And during the time that you guys, while the meat was cooking, my bad, I made some rice as well, and we're gonna enjoy it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and make myself a plate. It's very late in the night, so I'm not gonna have too much, but I'm just gonna have just a little. So guys, as I said, it's very late, so I didn't plate too much for myself. So I just have some lettuce on the side, and with my garden rice or my yellow rice. And I have just 2 pieces of the oxtail. I got the beans, I got the spinners, and now I'm gonna dive right into it. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.